What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. I got my boy Max over here once again. Say what up, Max.
What's going on? I'm back after, what, a 2-year hiatus?
Yeah, 2-year hiatus. So we are ranking Black Clover arcs, the anime arcs, up until when the anime stopped. So I don't waste you guys' time. Let's just get right into it. So
What's the first arc? I forget.
the first arc is the Magic Knight's entrance exam.
Yes. Here we go. Before I say what I think it is, I just want to say that I think the reason a lot of people stop watching Black Clover is due to this arc in particular. The arc doesn't really start right away in particular. We kind of just get introduced to Asta and Yuno as characters. And first impressions of Asta, he's pretty annoying. And the plot at that time was quite generic, I will say.
It was
generic. The only reason I really got into Black Clover was because there were a bunch of episodes out already. If I was a person who was watching this week to week, Magic Knight's entrance exam would not have been a good arc at all. And even looking back on it right now, if I rewatched it, I'm sure it still didn't hold up. I would say this is a solid D. Solid D.
I disagree. I wouldn't say it's that bad. I would honestly put it in a C tier just because it wasn't that bad, but it really wasn't anything special.
So I get no opinion. I want to override you on this one.
Okay, fine. We'll put Magic Knight's entrance exam in D. All right.
We can change it at the end if you cry enough.
But I think it. Okay, whatever. Okay, so the next arc we have is the dungeon exploration arc, which I believe is the second arc. Now this is the arc where they went into that magic dungeon trying to find the stones or whatever, and then they fought the Diamond Kingdom. I hate the Diamond Kingdom. But you know what, this arc was alright.
I want to say something before you give your garbage opinion. The dungeon exploration arc, the reason why it was bad was not because of the fights. The fights were great in it. I enjoyed the fights. It was the fact that we got introduced to these one-dimensional characters who, once we got their backstory, still didn't even make me feel any sympathy for them in the slightest. We get introduced to these characters that hold no relevance later on. You have some Black Clover, people who will argue, oh, it was to make Yuno and Asta, grow as characters. No, Mars as a character is one-dimensional, and that one girl was one-dimensional as well. I think the Diamond Kingdom was a mistake. I will say this is a solid E for me. It was really bad.
I don't like the Diamond Kingdom. I literally hate the Diamond Kingdom with a passion. So yeah,
we're already 2 arcs in, and we're already saying they're trash. Do we really like Black Clover? Is the thing? What's the next arc? It's gotta get better, right?
It's just time. Yeah. Okay, so the next arc is, I believe, the Eye of the Midnight Sun arc,
wasn't it Capital Invasion? And then they found out who the Eye of the Midnight Sun was.
Yeah. Okay, so it was Capital Invasion, which I actually like this arc because,
okay,
as you can see, Fuegoleon, he's a boss.
I like this arc because of the whole pandemonium, and then we see Fuegoleon get scared, and for literally 80 episodes, in the back of my mind, I'm like, who did he see? What did he see? Who took this guy's arm? We're introduced to Fuegoleon. In my opinion at the time, I thought Fuegoleon was definitely the strongest character in the show next to Julius. I literally thought so until we saw more of Yami, obviously. But you see this badass character suddenly get his arm ripped off and fall into a coma. And then this whole entire pandemonium breaks out. This thing had, bro, I don't mean to sound cheesy. I was on the edge of my seat, bro.
I did like this arc too because not everyone named Asta and Yuno were irrelevant in this arc. So I also found it good arc. I'd say this arc with a A tier.
Yeah, A tier. A tier.
Now we got another good arc right after this one. We have the Eye of the Midnight Sun, where we got introduced to the Eye of the Midnight Sun members, and we also got to see a little bit of the captain's fight. In particular, we got to see Yami fight, which we already know Yami is a badass character.
I will say this right now. I don't care who out there has created their arbitrary tier list. Yami is the strongest captain in the show. And now, spoiler alert, that Julius is no longer relevant in the show. Yami is the strongest person in the show.
But I did like this arc too. I would have to say this arc is an A tier. Just because,
this is an A tier
just because of the Licht versus Yami fight. That was worth it.
That went so hard.
That was good. So after this arc, we have the Seabed Temple Oak, which this arc was pretty good.
Okay, I will say something about this arc. This arc was good, but the problem that Black Clover faces and a lot of shows face is the fact that they introduce one-dimensional characters, which I really don't like at all. And like,
brother and sister.
So basically, the lore on this is they fought. What was it? What was he crying about? Despair or despair?
Veto. We fought Veto.
Veto. And Veto as a character, we find out later that, yeah, when he was an elf, he wasn't a one-dimensional character. But as we're fighting him, like, I think it's so much more fun to watch you fight an intelligent villain than it is to fight a one-dimensional villain.
That's true. But also, what I say about this arc down was the useless little like tournament game that they played in the beginning of the arc before we
that didn't make any sense.
Which was
that was the equivalent to Foxy in One Piece, bro.
Literally was.
I will say this is a B because Yami carried at the end.
I would say it was the Asta fight and the Yami fight. They did carry. It really did. Or it has to be a C tier. So after this arc, we have the Witch's Forest arc.
Ooh, this one was interesting.
See, this one's interesting just from the fact that it was a little slow at the beginning, in my opinion, but it did start to pick up towards the end.
Here's the thing, though. Black Clover does this again, too. We have their cast of, like, obviously side characters, which is mainly the Black Bulls characters. And they kind of give Vanessa the spotlight here more than they've given any other characters.
Bro, it was her arc.
I know it was her arc, but even looking at, like, what's his name? Goth, the one who can't talk?
Yeah.
Yeah, his arc was an episode.
No, that was Gordon.
Gordon, I'm sorry. Gordon's arc, which is like an episode. Like, they gave her this big, like, lore backstory. And honestly, Vanessa as a character, once she was done with her arc, she just reverted back to being a one-dimensional character who had one power. And the power they gave her is the most broken ability in the entire show that she somehow fails to use every single time. I know the Black Clover enthusiasts out there are gonna say, well, when they were fighting, what was their names? The big three, the guys. Remember when they were fighting the three demons with Yami and Asta was getting crushed, but then she used fate to bring him back.
Yeah,
you gotta cut this out. Anyways,
I don't have to cut anything out.
Anyways, she used it there, but there's so much more ability to use her. I think that this is a C tier. And I'm telling you why. It's because when they were fighting, the only thing that really saved this for me was like that whole meteor strike that he did.
It was. Yeah, it was C tier. I'll agree with that. I will. So right after this, we have the Royal Knight arc, which is where they trained and they had a tournament arc. And who doesn't like tournament arcs? I thought this was just a good arc just to show everyone's powers and to show who's strong and who wasn't. And we got to see Finral's brother, Longus, how much of a loser he truly was.
I think this was actually a really solid arc because they gave a lot of backstory on a lot of characters and it really showed off their abilities and how much they've been training and like getting them prepared. It wasn't a bad one. Usually these training type of things are boring, but I really enjoyed this a lot.
Yeah, I did enjoy this training just because we got to see a lot more characters' powers and their abilities, and we even got to see the captain. I forget his name, the guy who can draw. We got to see what he could do too.
Definitely A tier.
I would say this is A tier too. So right after we have a banger of an arc, if I do say so myself, in terms of Black Clover, which is the elf reincarnation arc.
It's definitely their best
and
arc.
This is kind of what Maxie was talking about with the one-dimensional characters and how like there was a purpose for them being one-dimensional, and that was to save it for this arc so we can see like they're not actually one-dimensional. And not only did we get to see that the characters weren't one-dimensional, this arc also brought us Black Clover opening 10, so I don't know how anyone could not like
I like how that's your justification for putting it in S tier. Just kind of going off what he said, this arc all around like hit every single point you would want in a good arc. It gave you backstories on multiple characters you were fiending for backstories on already. You got a lot of fights in this that you wouldn't have already gotten in other arcs, and we also got to see Julius versus Licht. Julius sacrificed himself, saved the kingdom, Yami getting pissed, and then basically it's still an S tier. The only thing that kind of brought it down was Patri. I didn't really care for Patri as a character. Patri till the very bitter end was a one-dimensional character and like stayed to it till the end. At least they stayed on script.
Had the biggest crush on Licht for no reason.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, that's an S tier. The Hurt Kingdom arc, which I guess there's two parts of this arc, so we have to look at that, which is just them going there, and I guess just like finding out what it is, and then we have them fighting in the Hurt Kingdom. So I like them fighting in the Hurt Kingdom, more than I did them going there and like learning what the Hook Kingdom was and like their magic and their scale.
I don't know.
Everything.
So this arc to me didn't make much sense at all. Like I fail to realize, even if months of training, the disparity in their power like upgrade was like too drastic. And these characters they introduced in the Heart Kingdom, like Gaia, the Wind Spirit, like Julius is talking about, like somehow like Julius is like comparing their powers to his, like, oh yeah, he's really strong, I fought him a few times. Like this doesn't make any sense,
but we can't
in any
forget,
capacity.
But we can't forget that this arc also technically includes the Yami and Asa versus Dante fight, because it's all under one.
Is that technically
Yeah, it is. It's all under one. It's a Heart Kingdom struggle arc. So we have to also, look at that too.
There were a lot of bad points in this arc, and there were a lot of good
which
ones.
I would say honestly, just for the fights, like Noelle and Asa and Yami, I would say that this just goes in the A tier, because it also for the most part shows that like the good guy doesn't always win, because they didn't win. They were getting their asses handed to them by
fair enough. I was gonna say B, but you make a good justification for A.
So going by anime terms, I don't read the manga. Max has.
I will fill you in on the lore a little bit on this part.
I do know the lore a little bit because I have read. But going off of the anime, because we're just going off the anime here, we only got to see about 4 episodes from the actual Seabed Kingdom invasion, which this is what the arc is.
So Seabed Kingdom invasion, in terms of this arc going in the manga, I won't get too deep into it, but basically where this arc goes good and where it struggles a lot, where Black Clover I think hits home a lot, is the fights and the matches. Like I think they do pick the greatest people to match up against each other for the big fights. Like Charmy versus Art Captain, I forget his name, great fight, and I wouldn't have thought that would be a good fight, but it was a good fight. Same thing the Seabed Kingdom has, great matchups, great fights. Where I think it really falters a lot is the fact that when you're reading it, because obviously you're not watching it, when you're reading it, everything seems so chaotic and so not there in terms of the story. You kind of it gets overshadowed by the fights, and I don't like what they're trying to do with the Seabed Kingdom. It's basically almost like they're trying to fit as much in as possible, which I hope is not the case, because there are a lot of points in this story where you could have just battened it down a little bit and maybe expanded a little bit, especially with the Seabed Kingdom arc. So in terms of that, as this arc is going right now, I'm gonna say it's a C. But I feel like towards the end, it might get a big push to B or maybe even A. Definitely faltered a little bit, I'm not gonna lie, but still overall enjoyable. Not too bad in general.
Yeah, we'll go say C tier there. We'll trust his opinion since he's read the manga. Which honestly, I don't think there should really be an excuse for a long running shonen to not flesh out the story. I mean, look at One Piece. They've been on the same island for 3 years now.
I also want to put the dungeon exploration arc in trash now that I had more time to think about it, comparing it to the other arcs.
Honestly, I would put it in trash just because of Mars, bro. I don't like him. I don't like the. I would put the Witch's Voice in trash too, just because the Diamond Kingdom's there. But I didn't like the power up Astaga, so I have to put it in C tier.
Okay, I think it's a solid tier list.
Yeah. So yeah, guys, that's our tier list, the ultimate Black Clover anime arc tier list. If you like this video, hit that subscribe button. Also, like and comment where you think these arcs should have been. If we misplaced any, comment that down below. And yeah, guys, I guess I'll see you guys in the next video.